Hi, welcome to the 1 in 20 show, where we're looking to find the next 1 in 20 successful individuals who are pursuing their passions so that you can too. And today we're joined by RJ Mitte. RJ Mitte is an American-born actor who is most known for his iconic role as Walt Jr. on what is considered the greatest drama show of all time, Breaking Bad. After such a massive success, RJ has continued to star and produce many new TV shows and movies. At the young age of 26, RJ possesses talent and character unlike so many others his age and continues to spread light on everyone around him. Welcome to the show.
Pleasure to be here.
It's really cool to have you in my house. It's so weird because the room below us, I sat and watched all of Breaking Bad. And
awesome.
It's really cool to have you just be above where I was. It's really neat. So welcome.
Well, thank you. Hey, you have a beautiful home, and it's a pleasure to be here today.
Thanks, man. So I wanted to start out, let's get this out of the way first, because I know you don't want to talk about it the whole time, but what was it like to star in Breaking Bad as a young kid?
It was great. I mean, it was like that was my very first speaking role, and it was a very adult show, so it was probably very different from most like working kid actors, and especially with the content.
Yeah.
But I loved it. I loved what we were doing, and we had a very professional set. We had some of the best people in the business, and I started from 13 and finished at 20, turning 21 really, and that's kind of that path, and that carried me through that time and altered everything, and one of the reasons why we're talking today, and it's cool. It was fun. I loved it.
Yeah. What was it like? Like, did you guys realize what was really happening with that show? Like, how big it got?
I mean, we had the powers that be to make it happen, but you don't know. Like, there's no real, no one knows that, oh my God, this is a hit. Like, everyone goes, oh, this is a hit. But no one, how many times you hear that?
Yeah.
Everything's a hit. Everything kind of has that moment. But it's crazy when you see it take its own form and make its own path, and that's when you really do have a hit. It's standalone and it just evolves.
Was something that was so you mentioned this, the adult subject matter, and you working with these just elite actors who had been in the business. What was it like with the theme of the show being so heavy? Like, were you able to, I mean, it's an insane topic. Were you able to comprehend it when you were 14?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think most 14-year-olds kind of would get the gist. I mean, if you sum it up, it's your average family. There's no difference other than, the math. But, I think that's kind of one of those things that if you look at the White family and Walter White and Skyler and all of them, it really was just your typical family trying to exist and live their lives as every family is, and just extraordinary circumstances happened and put them in a life-altering and threatening position. And I think when you have that type of pressure, you either get diamonds or you get rubble. And that's what happens.
That's crazy. What was it like? Something that I find kind of fascinating about the show is how so much of it was authentic to New Mexico. Like, it was shot in New Mexico.
Everything.
And the house was a real house. And what was it like to be in that environment? Did it make it more real?
I mean, New Mexico is fun. I like New Mexico. I grew up between traveling Louisiana and Texas. So I was always traveling as a kid. So going there was just one of those next experiences.
Yeah.
And it was crazy to really just kind of invade this town and create a whole world in it and about it. And it was special. New Mexico still, Albuquerque but all of New Mexico has such a big and thriving film industry now. And In Plain Sight was one of the shows that first went there, and then Breaking Bad, and then thousands of movies and TV shows now that are going in and out, and it created a whole industry, and it's cool to see New Mexico thrive in so many different ways.
Something that I agree, and I think there's a bit of a misnomer now kind of in middle America who has Netflix or has a streaming service, but there's not film crews really coming to their towns. And maybe that's kind of how it was in New Mexico a little, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, I think now it's different from when we shot Breaking Bad. The industry's changed in 180 in so many ways where we have audiences and so many small pools, and it's connecting all those small pools and really finding that. And now every city has its own little film crews and want to make art and want to create, and that's what's really special now when people didn't realize that they had the option then. But I think having big shows bring awareness to cities and states really makes an impact in the community and really changes a lot for the people that live there. And it's fun. It's funny. I work with the elite series of Bassmasters. My uncle's a professional fisherman, and they just like raised like $38 million locally on like one of the tournaments for a state, and it's like, man, just that media awareness and shows and movies and so many things have that now.
That's really cool. It is really interesting how I've noticed that too. Like there's been a trend that is, I think, because of social media and YouTube, and there's more creators out there doing stuff. Do you think that's good for the industry?
I think it's great for the industry. I think it has pros and cons. I mean, you know, saturation is like the biggest con about it, but one of the biggest pros is that it's you have so much saturation and that you have so many options, and that people can then go, I like this or I don't like that. And I think that's kind of where Breaking Bad was aired on the cusp of that, and now there's so many things to pick from, and it really was lucky. We were lucky to have that staple.
Yeah, definitely. Something I do want to talk about a little bit is I was going to ask you, how has having cerebral palsy empowered you as an actor? Like, how has it driven you to pursue acting?
You know, it really has nothing to do with it. I mean, it's part of who I am.
Yeah.
But for me, I pursue it because I want to play these people, and I want to be these things, and I want to experience those characters and roles, and that's kind of why I accept the roles that I accept.
Yeah.
And if one of them happens to have a disability or part of that, that's additive. That's something that I can tap into. But that's just one aspect.
Yeah, that's really cool. I was going to ask you, as kind of a follow-up, but separate too, what roles do you want to play in the future? What after, like, I just mean like following up a role that you'll be known for forever.
It's hard. That's a hard one to pick from. A high-paying one would be nice. But
of course,
of course, that's
right.
the key. But I'm very lucky in the roles I get to pick, and I don't have to accept everything. And I have a really cool part on a show called Now Apocalypse that I just aired my episode last night.
Awesome. It's on Starz, right?
It's on Starz. It's on Starz, and you can see actually all 10 episodes on the Starz app.
Cool.
But I know right now a lot of the crew and the cast are over in Cannes.
Wow.
So that's going to be
really special.
Yeah, they're doing a little premiere over there, and but it's really cool. But just a lot of different roles, a lot of roles with character, and like stuff that. I like roles, you're not going to like everything that I do. I don't do it for that. I don't do it for, I don't want everything to be perfect. I like to have characters that are kind of like, what just happened? Yeah. And those are the roles that I like to go for.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what the entirety of Breaking Bad was, characters that made no sense to people. Yeah. I mean, they did.
Yeah, but
they were relatable, but they were all just bigger than life people that do exist that aren't always the people that rise to the top, right? What is your opinion on I have a friend who is kind of like a mentor to me, who works at a theater company in the Bronx in New York.
Cool. Yeah.
And he his staple is serving the underserved in the community who want to act and just don't have the ability, right? something he always talks about is the trend in Hollywood now for, take the movie Us that just came out, Jordan Peele. Same with Get Out.
Yeah.
Two movies that casted British actors to play Americans. And I thought that was kind of interesting because I think casting agencies sometimes see it as more of an opportunity to be a character than somebody who's a native. What's your opinion on that kind of whole thing?
I mean, I think that kind of falls into the same line of like disabled actors and trying to like not having, or able-bodied actors playing disabled roles. And I think that's kind of that realm. But it's acting, and you know that character. Did you see Us?
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either, sadly. But I watched Get Out, and I think it was a great movie. I think it had such like a uniqueness and a draw, and it was like that hook. Like his movies have hook, and that's something that like I was talking to someone last night about. Like we're talking about laying down like bars, laying down. You have lyrics, and then you have hooks, and like you have to have both. And like a lot of people now either have one or the other and go, we can get by on our lyrics or we can get by on our hook. And instead of having both.
That's really smart.
And you can lay as much of that down, but if you have nothing to hook it with, you're not going to pull anything in. And I think those movies, and right now, there's a hook to that. And I think that's why it's so important to have everyone being pushed in that way of growing. And I think it's an opportunity to realize it's like, guess what? Anyone could take your job. Like, it's like, and it's not a bad thing. And if that's the right person for the right role, hire them. But if it's not, I don't know. I a lot of times have no idea why people get hired, but they do. And you can't cry about it. You just gotta go, all right, what did that person do to get that job? Like, what can I do to make next time I go in to get that job? And I think finding that about ourselves, and everyone has to find it individually, but you have to learn. It's like, all right, I need this is what I do to get that. And this is what they want. So I'm going to give them that, but I'm going to add a little bit of this too, but not too much, but make them want it.
Yeah. That's a really good way to put it. I've heard a lot about how something that is just a tendency of an actor, that sometimes when you audition for a role that you really, really want, you end up playing the part that they want you to play instead of a version of yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're hinting at. But how important is it to play somebody that is authentically you while still adding a character to it?
I mean, this is acting. If you're playing you're not always acting. So, I mean, I think there's a fine line of where the audience wants your personality and who that person is, and that same consistency.
Sure.
With a different tone. But then at the same time, it's not necessarily acting. You know, you're like, there's certain people that you're like, oh, I want to hire. He's the same guy every time, and I want that guy to play that.
Yeah.
And that's what they get hired for, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Sure.
But and that's why if you notice a lot of actors, you're like, I know that guy, but I don't know where he's from. Well, that's a good character actor. And I think you find a fine line of both of those.
Sure.
But I find you cannot copy each other. You can, but you gotta find what works for you.
Sure.
And if it's you see that work and you're like, oh, I want to do that. Well, try it. But if it doesn't work for you, you gotta find that inner thing. And that ability to be like, that's what they like. I'm gonna do that every time, and I'm gonna get that down, and then I'm gonna evolve on the next thing.
Yeah, that's really good. That's awesome advice, I think. When it comes to like seeing Hollywood through a lens, ironically, when you're looking at it after acting young and having opportunity young, I know that you started kind of producing stuff and you're wanting to do some of that as well, not just acting. What does that kind of direction look like for you? Like how do you want to take that track? Do you want to just kind of try everything?
That's kind of where I've been doing is I just kind of like open choke.
Yeah.
everything that I can kind of learn in that possibility or in that realm, focus on that and evolve that. I've been working with a group that shoots music videos. I've been pitching direct to studios. I've been finding independent investors. I've been kind of just figuring out and testing the waters in which directions and which works and the best way to do that. And at the same time, shooting movies as an actor and being a part of productions. And, I think it's that consistency of work and building good habits. If you have a good habit and you're able to continue that habit, it's always going to be good for you.
Yeah.
And staying away from the bad habits, staying away from the tendencies that you can create to set something in the wrong place. Set it in the right place the first time and keep setting it there. And I know that's easier said than done.
Sure.
But yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. I think it's tough because like me and some of the guys in this room too, like have are trying to like pursue film. And I think I talked to somebody about this recently, but there's such a, we mentioned this with the kind of the YouTube culture. Yeah. There's a sense now where people like the Paul brothers and guys who kind of just make stupid content, they rise to the top, where there's people who are trying to do genuine stuff that never make it. What's your opinion on that?
Keep doing genuine stuff. I mean, keep hitting that nail.
Yeah.
That goes to the conversation of quantity over quality. I mean, you can sacrifice quality to gain quantity sometimes. It doesn't always work. But if you're willing to evolve and want to try to focus that and pull that in, you have to have the numbers.
Sure.
And it's like, that's the hardest thing. I think that's the hardest battle to understand is the number game, and how do we reach this audience? How do we make that mark? And how do we get the perfect storm? Because these are all just little perfect storms and ingredients that come together and create that. And I think people don't want to squander their art.
Yeah.
A lot of people are going to hold on to it for as long as they can. They're like, I don't want to let that go. Well, at some point you have to show and get it out there and make that mark and move on. Because that one piece is not your only piece. And the more content you're able to put out there, the more you can reach people. And that's what we're doing now.
Totally. And
I think that's a big key in all of it. But don't sacrifice if you want something. There's so many times where I have to sacrifice stuff, and like it's like, man, this is gonna look like trash. I'm like, we're not even going to use this, and somehow they do or don't, and it's like, all right, well, back to the drawing board, or like it's like, who let that happen? And that's learning, and you have to learn how to handle that, and to handle not having a deserving market, not having a market that you should be having, but you're seeing people post trash and you're like, oh my God, how does that person have 500,000 followers?
Yep.
Well, there's more trash on the street than there is in the stores. So I mean, you can build up that.
Yeah.
But do you have real fans? And that's I'm very lucky that most of my fans are real fans that really care about the work, and that takes years. I mean, I've been doing it 10 years, and like my quantity is still is very minute, but the quality of the people is high, and I'm very lucky for that.
Yeah. That's so, oh man, that was great advice. The biggest frustration I have right now in my life with this stuff is that I feel ever since I graduated high school, and I realized, and I think it's just an upward trend with social media, how popular it is. I started realizing that I stopped focusing about the art I wanted to make. And I started focusing on like you said, the
numbers,
quantity
and the numbers, the number game.
And it's so messed up. It's ruining everybody's young lives. Like, young creators don't understand the importance of just sticking to what they want to make, because there's suddenly
it's a distraction.
Yeah,
it distracts you, and you're like, oh, I want to go off that way, and you're like, no, you forgot your path.
Right. And you have, maybe that person had something good, right? And they just, the funny thing about this is, that I find so interesting, is that, kind of piggybacking off of the whole YouTube thing with the people who make just dumb stuff.
Yeah.
We all need comedy, I think, in our lives. And I think it's funny sometimes. But when people abuse the power, and I will literally call out like Logan Paul for this, and Jake Paul, but mostly Jake. Because a couple years ago, he was trashing that LA house, and he was crashing cars, and like, I can't understand, how does somebody get famous off of that?
People feed on that, though.
Yeah.
People, that's a reflection of society, though. And
Yes.
people forget that. It's like you have that impact, and there's a lot of people that kind of have that same mentality, and you can really steer that. And right now, I find people are in that kind of volatile, like, let's be more destructive versus productive aspects of life. And we go through waves like that. But I find the more followers you have, the more responsibility you have to them to set that example, and to be willing to do that. You know, it's sad to see things and people really abuse their power, and just kind of, I see people like just go into stores, and like the videos of people going to stores and they wreck them, and I'm like, man, I personally could do it. I wouldn't. Why would I destroy someone's hard work, that person's place? I mean, like, if we were shooting a video and we're paying them, and like that was happening for purposes, but like, it's people just come in and wreck it, and I just can't.
You know what it is, and I think you will definitely know what I mean. Is it's totally the whole shock value movement that's big. Is everybody's trying to go for shock value, right? And then two, the new generation of, like, everybody calls it the millennial generation and whatnot. That generation is coming up without understanding respect for the most part, not completely, but in a way, I think that contributes to why things are so popular with these teeny bopper people who really never done anything. I think it's a
disassociation.
Yeah.
At the same time is what we see, and we have allowed our media and the industry to really engulf our existence.
Yes.
Like, with access to so many different artists and influencers and whatever it may be, everyone lives in an artificial environment. So I guess, what are the rules? To a lot of people, there are none. And I feel that a lot of people don't have accountability, and that, like, I've had so many friends over the last couple of years that most of my friends were in their late 40s, early 50s. Still, most of my friends are older than me, and I've a lot of the people that they grew up with are passing away, and I'm looking at that and going, man, we are losing we're losing it. And it's not all of them. Some of them we can't afford to lose. But like, I've noticed we're losing a lot of the people that founded respect, and that commanded respect, and that had that presence of really changing people. And I find there are people that still have it, but not in the same sense of that's a guy, that's a man, that's a woman, that's a leader, that's someone that, like, changes that, and be like, no, it's just kind of like, you're gonna have 40-year-old kids. like it's kind of, that's a mentality now, and hopefully I think people will grow up from it and evolve with it and become more aware, and time will tell, but accountability is key.
Oh man, this is so good. I mean, like, I just wish that you could grab a hold of our generation and say, I'm good. Hey, are you listening?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good on that. No, I mean, I think there's ways to do that, but we don't need to grab a hold of it. Everyone, we have everyone's attention. They're already grabbed. Everyone's grabbed right now. It's what do we do to make everything better? How do we have an impact? How can we make everyone around us but feel happy, to want to have pride in everything that they do, and to want to care about not sacrificing the little things, and not being belittled, and not demeaning others, and not having to think that we gotta one up everyone, and we have to sneak around someone or pull something from there to get ahead. It doesn't work like that. You don't have to make it work like that. You choose to make it work like that. And I think we need to find that route, but everyone has to, I guess, do it on their own time.
Yeah.
You can't just slap that, because that kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah. You're speaking truth. It's so true. I mean, the craziest thing to me is on this same note is think about, like for me, I think about my dad. My dad works in the industry and started when he was our age.
Yeah.
But that, social media, computers really weren't even a thing, right?
No.
So when you think about that lifestyle of Hollywood, you were considered legitimate by working at a studio or just working. Nowadays, if you don't have 100,000 followers, a million followers, legit. You're not, and that's so messed up.
I hate it, because I don't play the game, because it's the whole, I'm so sick of the whole follow and follow, the comment on this person to find these people, and to do this to get there, and that's I don't want to it gets you awareness, but it's too backhanded, and I miss it's good that we have it and that we're able to communicate on so many different levels, but I think we've gone past that mark, man, where it's just all right, where's the next step from here?
Yeah.
How do we get past this? Is nice, but we can be better.
Yeah. And
this can be better.
Yeah. That's great. Well, let's bring it into a landing, go to a break, and we'll be right back.
All those buildings.
Yeah.
It's pretty dope.
Oh, check. Test.
Speak.
Hello. 1 2 1 2.
Good. All right. Oh, you're a dog, boy. All right, here we go.
Damn, we just met.
Okay, hi, welcome back. I was gonna ask you now. We'll go back to Breaking Bad for a second. Breaking Bad movie predictions, because it's in production. It's happening.
Yeah, I guess.
You didn't get the memo.
I didn't get the memo. I've been waiting for an email. I got one. They're cool. I'm interested. I'm interested to see what happens, because a lot could happen. Like I heard it's what did they say? It was a 2-hour thing. Or
I think so, and it's going right to Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that's cool. I'm interested. I'm like, all right. I don't even know what to say.
So, what is your prediction?
What is my prediction? So my thinking, it wasn't even in correlation with we got
Chris is plugging his ears because he's trying to watch the show, and
with how I left off, Jesse turns around and comes back and picks him up.
Yeah.
And then they go off, and that he's in.
This is
critical.
what you want to happen.
This
right?
is kind of like what I was thinking would this is my opinion of what that would carry on to be like. Would be like Jesse turns around, he flips a bitch, and goes back and picks up Walt, and
who's not dead.
Sorry, actually. Let me go into more detail. So Jesse's driving off.
Yeah. And
he hears the sirens. The whole sirens are coming. He hits a stop sign. He's freaking out. Sirens pass, but it's fire trucks. Like in the beginning of the pilot.
Oh, yeah.
And it's fire trucks that cruise by. And turns around, picks him up. Starts cleaning up. Kind of the reverse of what happened in the pilot.
Huh.
So remember Walt... He puts the gas mask on, the whole 9 yards, takes care of them, and they drive away.
Yeah.
Same concept.
Huh.
Same exact concept, just completely reverse and in the woods with machine guns and Nazis, right?
What?
Yeah. They're like bikers. Wait, where were they?
Oh, you mean the crew that
The
at
bad
the
guy.
end?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not Nazis.
They're not Nazis?
No.
Oh,
They're just crazy people.
Just crazy people. I don't know.
You should know more. You should know more than I do. Oh my gosh.
Don't blame me.
Hey,
but
but look,
like, that's pretty
I like
dope,
that
right?
idea.
How awesome would that be?
You should have told Vince that.
And then I did.
Oh, what did he say?
We'll know in the movie.
What did he say? Did he say anything about it, or did he say, "Oh, that's kind of cool"?
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, that's cool."
Yeah, that's it. He
that's
probably's got something. Already
yeah. I mean, they're still doing Better Call Saul and like all that. That like the show really never stopped for them.
No. It's just still going.
It's still going. Better Call Saul is still on the air.
Yeah, great show.
Great show, beautiful show.
What's it like? I know you've met Bob. Do you like Bob a lot?
Bob, dude, best crew.
He's so funny.
Yeah.
In real life, I feel like.
No, he's dope. You know, Mr. Show, and he wrote for SNL for years, and like he had such a big body of work.
Bob Odenkirk.
Bob Odenkirk, everyone.
Sorry.
Yeah. And yeah, he's awesome. I have 2 scenes with him, I think. And
when was that on the show? I don't quite remember.
Season
Toward the end,
4 or
right?
5, like after the fact.
Yeah.
He was trying to get comfortable with the family and Skylar, and he came into the car wash.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And and that happened.
Yeah. So how I'm curious, like from where the house is, because so much of it's shot in the house. How centrally located are the spots around there?
So everything's pretty close together. I mean, the Albuquerque has 2 major freeways. It has the 25 and the 40. So the studios that we shot, all of our interior shots. So we actually didn't shoot inside the house. We shot the front exterior of the house and the back exterior of the house. We shot everywhere in the car wash. And then there's most of the streets closer to the airport. I mean, we shot everywhere. We shot Rio Rancho. We shot Albuquerque. We shot Taos and Santa Fe. Everywhere in New Mexico. All the deserts, all the things. And, I mean, 4 hours in any direction. And you're at a set.
Wow.
And luckily, ABQ Studios, which are out by the Air Force Base. Or not by the Air Force Base, or by the airport. But massive, beautiful studios, and like that was my as much as I did a lot of extra work when I was younger, and I was on Hannah Montana and Everybody Hates Chris and Weeds and Seventh Heaven and all these different shows and movies as an extra. I was on all the big lots. I like the studios in California; they're great. But like the studios in Albuquerque were amazing. And
really?
They were huge, and everything was so easy to get to, and they had space. Like you go to a studio, it's just so on top of everything. It's like
Hollywood especially. Yeah,
Hollywood especially. It's just a city, and it's like city on city, and each individual studio is their own little city, and it's cool. That's amazing. But like, it was nice that we had our own individual like area and space, and it was us, and it was cool.
That's cool.
It was fun. It was
That's
great,
really
man.
cool. Yeah, I know that must have been just so interesting to be doing that show, and like I just think about the fact that it was on AMC and like it just different. It's just different than what we have now with shows going right to streaming and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, and that's I mean, it was interesting. I was very interested in to see that that they were talking about the Breaking Bad movie and it was going straight to Netflix, because I mean I thought that would have been cinematic enough to see on the big screen.
Me too.
And what's crazy is I see Netflix movies at the movie theater now.
That's true.
You're seeing that. So I thought it was very interesting to see that testament, I guess, that they're just trying to see if the market is still there. That's my opinion on that. But
I think Netflix wants to be seen as that studio, because they are a studio now. Like they are producing their own stuff.
Massive.
A lot of it.
And they got so much money out there and so much content, and they're just churning it out.
But they're only seen as like a streaming service, which is like not necessarily, but you know, with the whole Oscar discussion, like they shouldn't be in the Oscars or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, like, and like I get that, but if you're making movies, submit it.
Yeah.
Submit it. Put it on the screen. Follow the steps. That, like, one of the things I realized over the last little bit of my industry is growing up in the business and then the business changing to what it is now was I wasn't allowed to do certain things in different orders. I was actually told very specifically by my publicists, by networks, by agents, by managers, these are the steps. And you follow those steps and you don't step out of those steps. Now the steps don't exist anymore. And everyone's just like, don't worry about it. We just submit it and they'll take it. And that's kind of like the general conception now. Is like, why not? 30 here's and they're throwing change. And they'll give you it for change. They'll take it for change and that's what you're getting. But
interesting.
It's a crazy little time.
Yeah. That's so interesting. What's it like working with Brian? Because I know.
Great.
I mean, I was just in New York and I saw his face on network. I didn't get to see him.
Oh man!
Because this is last week and the tickets were $800 a pop, so I was not ready to spend.
It goes to June 8th.
Oh, is he staying longer? I thought I heard that he was rapping or something for a little bit. Maybe not.
I know, because I'm wanting to go see it, and I'm planning to go. In the next couple of weeks to New York and then go see it. Yeah, maybe
he is still there. I might have heard false information.
From what I heard, June 8th.
Okay. Yeah.
The play is going until June 8th.
And it's done wonderful. Network on Broadway is smashing. Yeah. It's just a wonderful... And of course, he's part of the reason, if not the reason, why people go and see that show again. What was it like to work with him? Was it like a mentorship kind of nurturing thing, or was it just kind of seeing eye to eye?
It was like a dad.
Yeah.
It was very much so like a dad, and he has kids that were my age. He has a daughter that's my age, and then of course he was a Malcolm in the Middle, so he's worked with children his whole life, and so it was very mentory, very much like a dad. And we enjoyed that. It was fun. It was cool.
His process to me is fascinating because you mentioned this earlier. The reality that Breaking Bad has, in that, like you said, it's like a normal house, a normal family. But when the worst came to worst and they didn't, you guys didn't have money and you had to pay for the treatment. And so he did what he knew best, but
he
it's
did
so
what
interesting.
He did what he needed to do. And I think that's what had a lot of allure to the show was, how far are you willing to go? And, a lot of people are willing to go pretty far, but not as far as Walter White.
Yeah, unless they want to go to prison.
There's that.
What was I was going to ask you kind of, who is your favorite cast member to work with? Is there somebody on the show that you liked more than others, or that was funny?
I think everyone was so unique in their own capacity. I liked working with the full cast, so like having the whole family there was fun.
Yeah.
That was like five people.
Yeah.
You had Brian, Betsy, Anna, Dean, myself, and it was just such a good environment and camaraderie, and we had good. It's special, I missed having a show like that for a long time, and being a part of a family like that for a long time, and I kind of have that again with Now Apocalypse, so I'm very
That's
happy
so cool.
about that.
Yeah, that's really cool. I saw on Twitter that Dean is actually like the show's releasing his beer that he made. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's been working on that forever.
So that's his own thing.
That's his own thing.
Wow,
that's his
awesome.
own thing. I love it.
Yeah,
and because it had such a big hype, and people would go up and ask him, "Where can I get Cerebral?" And he's like, he would always joke around and be like, we're working on that. And he got it done.
That's crazy.
And it's coming.
That's crazy. That's so cool. Like the lore of the show keeps going years
always.
later. Netflix. So funny thing is I feel like Netflix totally revitalized that for this show, for The Office, for shows that
lots of shows
aired and then finished.
Netflix does amazing. I think Netflix has an amazing place in to what it did for Breaking Bad and what it did for The Office and what it did for Friends and all these other shows. I think there's an aspect of money though that a lot of people are losing out on when it comes to the residuals.
Yeah.
And that whole new media stuff. But like I think where it brought awareness and it brought the fans and like the evolution of it is amazing. And I'm very lucky.
Yeah.
We're very lucky to have had Netflix at the time because we didn't have the ratings. Breaking Bad did not have the draw that it was critically acclaimed. But that doesn't mean that you have the numbers. And Netflix helped us gain those numbers. And
Did they start streaming it during AMC? Like, because I don't know how that worked. I thought you guys finished before.
I think it was towards the end, actually.
Yeah.
I think it was the last season they started streaming on Netflix.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Like right when they opened
like
streaming.
right when they opened the live streaming.
Yeah.
We were one of the first. It was us, Mad Men, I think Walking Dead. Like all the AMC shows were on Netflix. A lot of like the older shows, a lot of the Turner Classic Movies shows.
Yeah.
No, it's amazing. It's done so much.
Yeah. That's so cool. So now I want to kind of ask you in kind of in closing, because I know this could take a little bit, but what are your future plans? Where do you want to be like in the coming years? What do you want to be doing?
Just working. I'm trying to sell a show right now. I've been working with a few writer groups, and I have a couple of production groups I'm working with, and then as well as filming and acting. And I'm just be able to create content freely. Because as a working actor, it's hard. It's like there's no stability in this job. People are like, oh, I'm gonna go to Hollywood. They're like, yo, you gotta either have money or your family has money to live out here, and or your family's been in the industry for 50, 60, 100 years. And I think that's kind of where it's at. So right now I'm just trying to work and keep working and find where I can just find my place to be able to create art and to not have to worry about everything else, but to just be able to focus on one thing at a time. I'm a little spread thin at the moment, but it's good. I have I'm working on Now Apocalypse on Starz, which my episodes are airing right now on Sundays, and you can see all 10 episodes on the Starz app, streaming. You can binge it. It's 30-minute comedy. I have a couple movies I'm working on. One will be shooting up in Canada. It's kind of like it kind of almost has like a Hateful Eight vibe, but with two people. So we'll see how that one goes. And I'm in the middle of, I just shot actually a movie in Bakersfield with Joey Travolta, John Travolta's brother.
Yeah.
He has schools and he starts schools and does camps for adults and kids with disabilities. And we just shot a 75% disabled movie initially.
Wow.
So like our movie, a full feature, we shot in almost 2 weeks, but we shot it really in like a week and a half with as much prep as that we had. And 75% of our crew had disabilities, and it's going to Bentonville Film Festival in the next couple of months.
Wonderful.
So very, very happy. It's the first movie shot like that and full feature, and it's gonna be cool.
You're breathing life, brother. I mean,
trying
needs it.
It's air's a little thick, man.
It's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. That's just great. I'm really, really happy for you. I think it's so cool that you've been able to follow up such an amazing start and continue it, because I would imagine it just fuels your drive to just keep going and going and
you
going.
Have
right?
to. You can't slow down or you're out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's great. Well, you can find RJ on Instagram, Twitter. What's your handle?
All that. RJ Mitte. I'm easy to find. I'm not hard to find. They type in my name and pull all those things up.
You don't go by Flynn.
No, I don't go by Flynn.
Did you like that choice?
Yeah, I liked Flynn. Flynn was a great name.
Yeah. You should have been Flynn from the beginning on that show.
Nah, Walt Jr. I like Walt Jr.
Okay.
I think Walt Jr. is a good name.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thanks for being on.
My pleasure.
It was
man.
awesome.
Great
Really
meeting
fun.
you.
Really fun. And thanks for watching. Follow along with us. Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at 1 in 20 Show. Thanks for following along. Thanks, RJ, for being on. And we'll catch you real soon.